say this, that if you need to turn off your if you need to turn off your camera because you have something inappropriate or distracting going on in the background, please do so. Like I said, we are recording. We are going to be engaging with you. We are going to be answering questions and give and take and all of that fun stuff. So just please do me a favor, help me out with any video that's either inappropriate or distracting. Second, we allow for you guys to unmute and mute as needed, but please, please, please don't leave your mute unmuted, right? Keep your microphone muted unless you are intentionally contributing either a question, conversation, etc. And we'll try to guide that as best we can. Let's see, anything else? Am I missing anything else housekeeping wise? We are recording, we will post, and if you get kicked out for any reason, hop back in. What else? I think that's it.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, as soon as Ruth Milkey comes on, she will be monitoring our chat for tonight. So I trust that she will be here soon, and so whatever is put in the chat will be looked at by her. But without further ado, I think we can get started. And so I just would like to introduce myself. I'm Amanda Thurman, for those of you that don't know me. And my lovely coworker and I, Bridget Miranda, wave Bridget. We are co-chairs of the Faculty and Professional Development Committee, which means we are trying our hardest to provide education and useful educational opportunities for our adjuncts and full-time faculty as well, because as we know, teaching it's a hard job. It's hard. And so we want to try and pass on to all of you and any learning that we feel like will be valuable. So thank you for coming tonight. We are looking forward to presenting tonight. And so I wish that we had time to go around and introduce ourselves, but we can't. It would take the whole meeting. And there's many of you, like I said, that I don't know, but hopefully at our as time comes, we can all meet one another in some form or capacity. So you can see the agenda, but we're going to have, I will do a prayer, and then we will have an update from Dr. Poza, our interim dean, and then we will have an update from Jeff, which I feel is really helpful for you guys since you're adjuncts and you may have some questions about your pay and how you get a contract, etc. So we left a good chunk of time for Jeff to talk to you about that. And then Bridget and I got to give Bridget all the credit for this, not myself, are going to walk you through adult learning theories and also an escape room. So we're going to play some games tonight. So that should be fun. And then we'll have a time for discussion after that. So are there any quick questions about the evening or anything I can answer before we get started? Okay, good. All right. I'm just going to read a quick verse and do our prayer. And this was what our pastor shared this Sunday at church. I live in San Diego. I'm the director of the MSN programs for San Diego and also for Inland Empire. And so I attend Nazarene Church in San Diego. And he preached on that the body has many parts. And all of us are here and called by God to be here because our students need a variety of instructors. They need us to all have different strengths in areas that we can speak into their lives. And so the verse in 1 Corinthians 12 said, just as the body has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, and so it is with Christ. If the foot shall say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not be a reason to stop being a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not be for reason to stop being a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? And where would the sense of smell be? God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. And so I feel like that's true of us in nursing education as well. He needs all of us. We all have different strengths and ways to connect to students. And I hope that we can all also feel connected to one another as brothers and sisters in Christ. So I will pray to open up our evening and we'll get into the agenda. Please pray with me. Lord, thank you so much for this time. Thank you for this group of people. Thank you for calling us all here for such a time as this. We pray that we would be used for you to help our students, to teach them the best way we can. And also thank you for this time for us to learn different strategies on how to teach and help us and guide us into the best instructors that we can be for our students. Thank you for this time. We ask blessings and good interactions, and thank you again for this in your name. Amen. All right, very good. Is Dr. Posa with us?
Our interim dean is here.
All right.
All right, I'm going to get started. It's good to see everyone. You know, this is very effective for the School of Nursing because we have so many people on so many different campuses. Like Amanda said, she's down in San Diego. I'm up here sitting in my Azusa office. Some of you may be working in our High Desert location or Inland Empire or even our Monrovia location. So thanks to all of you for making the time to come together. Although I must say I miss the sharing a cup of coffee and giving you a hug. And it's great to see so many of our adjuncts that continue to come back semester after semester and teach with us. And I also see new faces that I may only know you because I saw your name on a contract. So I'm the person that signs that scribbly little thing electronically on your contract. So like I mentioned, thank you for what you do in serving our students. And we have great students. And we appreciate working with the students. I also know that sometimes students can be challenging, right? There never fails. There's always one or two in a group, sometimes more. But so as we look forward to the summer, please reach out if you to the leadership team, or if you ever need any, you know, no question is a dumb question. And I can remember when I first started as an adjunct faculty, I worked as adjunct for 9 years. You know, sometimes it's classroom management or clinical management, or how to mentor students, or how to use the Scantron machine. I don't know, but we are here to serve and appreciate your service and working with our students. So just wanted to give you a few little updates about what's going on in the School of Nursing, and then we'll turn it back to the agenda for you. So based on our students, let's start with our program. So we have 9 departments within the School of Nursing. We continue to see good enrollment in especially our pre-licensure. Those of you that work in facilities that are hiring our graduates, I'm sure you're happy to hear that the pipeline, while the nation is experiencing some challenges in nursing school enrollment, Southern California and here at Azusa, we continue to have cohorts, pretty much full cohorts in all of our pre-licensure programs. And so that's exciting for us. We are preparing as a School of Nursing to go into a reapproval visit with the Board of Registered Nursing. That will happen at the end of this year. So you may see some of our activities this summer are helping lead us up to what we need to present to the Board of Registered Nursing. So those will mostly affect our programs that are nurse practitioner related or any of our pre-licensure. As part of that, it's also our timing for program reviews for many of our departments, as well as a midterm cycle for CCNE. CCNE is our national accreditation, and we received 10 years of accreditation in 2018. So our next full review will be 2028, but we are doing our mid-cycle. So kind of puts you, you know, some of you that are in Joint Commission or Magnet Journeys, we're on that journey just in the School of Nursing here, just making sure we have all our everything that we need to do to show our effectiveness for our various accrediting bodies. Some of the things that you will see that we are starting to re-engage in is, you know, as we have less and less demands for those PPE and all of those processes that we put in place during the pandemic and kept our students going, things that got put on hold during the pandemic were our international activities. And we've always been very committed at the university and the School of Nursing to engaging with our international partners. And so I just recently returned from a trip to Norway, where we are entering into a 4-year relationship with a Christian university in Bergen, where they will be sending 12 nursing students to us every year in the BSN program, 8 master's students and 1 PhD student. At the same time, we will send our students there. So it's really exciting to see these international opportunities open up again for our students as well as for our faculty to engage with our other faculty partners in other countries. We just had a group of students participate in a short-term academic experience over in Kenya, and they returned and had a successful trip over there. Those were some of our entry-level master's students. And our partners in China and Vietnam are also looking to re-engage in our exchange opportunities. So for those of you that like the international experiences and the global health, we're all happy to see those activities return. We also are really committed to research here and supporting our faculty in the engagement of research, which then translates into what we do with students. And then finally, I'll just mention some of the student support mechanisms that we have, because as students are feeling some of the pressures, financial pressures continue to be something that we all feel, and our students feel it as well as they're making a decision to, many of them are balancing work and life, and certainly can use some financial support. So I wanted to mention some of the grants that we have within the School of Nursing that support our students, in case you receive questions from students. So the first one I'll mention is a HRSA grant, which is called the BWET, the Behavioral Health and Workforce Education Training Grant. We've had this for many years. We continue to be supported under this mechanism. What does that mean for students? It's the psych mental health nurse practitioner students receive stipends when they get into their clinical courses as part of their MSN degree. So that's a great incentive for those individuals that are looking to support the workforce around the mental health area. The other one I'll mention is the NFLEP. That's the Nurse Faculty Loan Program. Some of you may be taking advantage of that. For those of you that are in graduate studies or doctoral studies, this is a loan forgiveness program also offered through HRSA. It funds 85% of a loan forgiveness tuition for the graduate schools and doctoral programs, as long as you give back by teaching after graduation. And that can be in full-time, part-time, or they've opened that. Now you can serve as a preceptor and that participate in that loan forgiveness. So that's a good opportunity for those of you that are interested in pursuing faculty positions. There's a new source of funding for students called the Nursing Student Loan Program. This is available for BSN students and for MSN students. And it's it's not a loan forgiveness, but it's actually a loan with a 5% interest rate. So a lot of times for students, especially our upper division transfer students who may have already maxed out some of their financial aid packages, this is a good way for them to support their tuition and programs. Then finally, I'll just mention briefly, we have 2 grants that are supporting some innovative projects for our students. One is the Masters of Public Health grant we received from HRSA. This is a 3-year grant, and it also provides stipends for individuals that want to come back and receive a master's in public health. So there's some tuition funding there for stipends for students in that program. That's a fully online program to receive an MPH. And the last one is a diversity grant that we're working on in the upper division. And we have 2 clinical partners that are working with us on this grant. One is USC Arcadia, and the other one is St. Mary's in Victorville. So I know that was a lot of information, but please reach out or funnel those student questions that way. I think it's a very robust portfolio that we have in these grant mechanisms to support our students along their educational journey. So, and maybe many of you could take advantage of some of those opportunities as well if you are interested in furthering your education as well. So with that, I again thank you all for teaching with us in the various capacities in which you do. I see, many of your faces. Some of you are clinicals and support pre-licensure. Some of you are on our skills labs and our simulation labs. Some of you are working with doctoral students and coming alongside in residencies or dissertations. So we have quite the variety here in the School of Nursing. It's what makes us unique and something for everyone. So thank you and blessings on your semester.
Thank you so much, Renee. And Jeff, before you go, I realize there's some people in this room I think we should acknowledge, so that those of you that have not met maybe your chair or your dean, we can point them out. So forgive
Amanda?
me if I get these titles wrong, and you have to help me out here, but I do see Valerie Joyce Smith, and I believe you are chair of undergrad. Am I right about that?
You are right, the traditional undergrad program. Thank you. Hi,
Perfect.
everyone.
Yeah, just it's always good to put a face with a name. And I see Dr. Lori Salau, and she is Assistant Dean of Undergrad. Is that right?
Oh, that's correct. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Nice to see names to the faces.
Yes, for you guys too, right? I know. Good. And then I see Megan Ellis, and I believe she's chair of Elm. Did I get that right, Megan?
Yes, you did. Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. Thank you so much for everything you do for the Elm students.
Yes, Elm's a great program. And then we have Dr. Ruth Milkey, who is our Associate Dean for everything. What are you technically?
Hi, everyone. I get to do a lot of fun stuff. I get to work with faculty, hire faculty, work with fantastic people here. So if you're considering going full-time with us, let me know.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. And then Dr. Bridget Miranda, who is my co-chair, but she teaches in the Elm program. So many of you probably know her as well. So.
Amanda, I thought Dr. Cha is on as well.
Oh, thank you. I did not see Dr. Cha, and chair of
You did
Upper
TP.
division transfer.
Upper
Upper
division.
Division Transfer.
Hi,
Yay.
everybody. I'm the one sent the email with aloha. So that's
Oh,
me.
I love it. Thank you for pointing that out. Did I miss anyone else?
Not that I could see. But I was gonna, so to add to that, at the bottom of the agenda, we're gonna put all of the department chairs' names, their street addresses, their social security numbers, everything that we can possibly find on
Bank
them.
account numbers.
Yeah, exactly. No, we will make sure that you know their names. We will also, in my part, I will also talk a little bit about where you can find the org chart and some other those things, but we do want to make sure you know who to contact. And then I think if, since Dr. Posa took such little time to give her welcome, maybe we have a few adjuncts that would like to embarrass her with a question or two before we transition. Is there anybody here that would love to ask Renee a question at all? Either about APU, about the School of Nursing, or specifically about your role, departments, programs, things of that nature, because she will probably not hang out with us for the entire duration. Anyone want to come off mute? All right, going once,
Just like
otherwise
the
you get me.
students, Jeff, they're all quiet.
That's okay. You know what that means? That just means you've answered all the questions. Oh, we got a brave volunteer.
Yep.
Amy, is that a mistake that you put your hand up, or were you
No.
actually doing that intentionally?
It's an actual intentional hand.
All right.
You mentioned international programs. I wondered whether there are plans for students to return to Calcutta.
Oh, that's a good one. So our faculty member, that was our champion. So a lot of times international programs work well when you have a faculty that really champions them in a certain location. And so we had one faculty that had a Fulbright that went to Calcutta and took groups of students, Catherine Heinlein, you might remember. So Catherine is still adjunct faculty with us, but she's not, she went into full-time nurse practitioner practice, imagine that. So I think, you know, there we do, Amy, have a list of places where we've engaged with before. And we're also adding some new ones on that. Like I just had a conversation with someone around a potential in Indonesia for a somewhat of an exchange. You know, Brazil is still an area of interest for us in connection with faculty there. So
can we suggest new places, and how do we go about it?
yeah, if you want to suggest new places, so Dave Dorman is our resident expert in all things international within the School of Nursing. So Jeff, maybe you can put his contact information in the chat for them, but Dave's a great person to get connected with. And then we're always open to exploring, and often it starts with conversations like this, if you know somebody and you have a relationship, and we can make some connections. And I think it's a great opportunity for our students to experience that for multiple reasons. They come home really changed.
Would you say that it's a distinctive of our school?
I would say it's one of our distinctives, yeah. Often, especially in the undergrad program, where they have the opportunity to do that for a whole semester and not delay their progression to graduation. You know, that's a very unique opportunity that within the School of Nursing to be able to offer that.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else?
I also sent you a message. I wanted to know more about the faculty loan forgiveness.
Yeah,
How to go apply
Isaac,
for that.
I'll respond. I see your message in the chat there. So we do have some information on our the website around the nurse faculty loan program, but I'll specifically reach out to you with the information too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it might help for us to, you know what I'll do too, is I'll add some information, a link to some of the public information that we have at APU, but also if Renee, you want me to help email out that information to all the adjuncts, let me know, and I can also do that.
That'd be great. I think, you know, you never know when you're going to get questions, or they themselves can use the information, or a coworker can use the information at your other places of employment, right? So I think it's good to have that information widely available.
Any other questions? And I did intentionally spell Kolkata incorrectly and terribly because that's how my brain would have processed that. But I appreciate everybody helping me understand that that is in India.
You
Any
learned
other
something
questions?
tonight.
I'm sorry, Amanda, I missed you.
Oh, I just said you learned something tonight, as we all do. Yes.
Sounds good. Gada, how are you
Gada,
doing
yes.
tonight?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful. Appreciate it. And Dr. Posa, this is definitely very informative, and I appreciate that update. A question I heard you say regarding coming on accreditation, and also the Board of Registered Nursing will be evaluating the programs. What is the timeline and how does that look like?
Yeah, so the Board of Registered Nursing approves those programs that we offer that lead towards licensure. So it's a little bit different than a national accreditation, which is looking at all of your programs and the School of Nursing. The board is really looking, remember, they are the public safety officers, right? So they're looking at, we're preparing individuals that are going to be licensed at the state level. So those are going to include our traditional undergrad that leads to the BSN, our upper division transfer that leads to the BSN and sits for licensure, our entry-level master's program, and then all of the nurse practitioner tracks. The clinical nurse specialist program is optional, whether you want them to come and provide approval on those, because that licensure is a little bit different, right, than a nurse in the state of California, right? CNSs cannot prescribe or furnish, where nurse practitioners can. So those are the programs that will be impacted by a board review. So they are not as interested in our, for example, our masters in healthcare administration or our masters in nursing education. That's when we go, but we are in the mid-cycle. So the board is really intentionally trying to line up their visits with your national accreditation. So I think if you're seeing a trend in community colleges now seeking accreditation, because that wasn't a standard for them, where higher education institutions had a standard of accreditation. So because of the impact of the board coming alongside of national accreditation, I think you're seeing more schools of nursing that may not have been accredited before seek accreditation. So
That's correct. Yep. No, thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Sure. Good to see you, Gata.
Thank you. Same here.
All right, one more call. Anybody else? If you don't know how to raise your digital hand, feel free to unmute and just shout out. Going once, going twice. All right, Dr. Posa. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Yes, thank you for coming.
All right, Amanda, you good for me to go right into my next segment?
Yes, yes, please do.
All right. Welcome again, everybody. If anybody joined late, my name is Jeff Polsmeyer. I'm the Director of Operations. And I think part of what I tried to do at this point in the Adjunct Development Workshop is to try to ease any of the concerns or issues that you have around the operational components of being in an adjunct role, and to try to hit on a couple of areas where we try to support you operationally so that you guys can focus on the delivering the academic components of your program and ultimately student success. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into a variety of things. I'm going to share my screen here. First, I just want to let you know the operations is our primary service is to the School of Nursing faculty and staff. We work diligently to manage resources, administer compliance, supply information, support personnel, and execute events. My team is made of a variety of folks. Annalisa Santos, who helps with our budget. Jasmine Lord, who helps with all things operations. You will actually see her name here today. She is in the background supporting this event. We have Kim Rizel, who helps with the front desk at Azusa Pacific University's Azusa campus. Jeannie Tuckness, who helps part-time support the group. Yi Zhang, who has recently jumped in to help us with a variety of technology initiatives. And then we have a variety of student workers. So whenever you're reaching out to the operations team, you may get any one of us helping provide a team effort in giving you feedback and giving you the information so that hopefully you can move into the next problem to solve on your side. So on the agenda is going to be something that will be public. It will be posted on a website, some sort of digital public area that you can access this at any point during this semester. We are going to record this video as well and put it onto the same page so that again, for those that missed this this portion or that disconnect and come back, you guys can come back to this and learn whatever we go through today, as well as having the CE opportunity that we have shortly after I'm done. Let me go ahead and share my screen and show you a little bit of what we want to cover today from an operations team perspective. So the first thing is you guys should be seeing, hopefully, our help center here, the how can we help you? This is a new initiative we've launched recently. And what we are hoping to do is move much of the content that we have bottled up in one of our support personnel or our chairs or our administration as a whole and put them into articles so that we can keep these available in live real time. These are fully accessible articles that you can access at any time. And just know that there are some articles where you do have to be logged in as an APU employee. So you'll see my name populate up here. And when you do sign in, you will see your name populate up there. And as you scroll down, you will see a variety of resources that we have created for you. The most popular ones being up here in these 4 boxes, but I do want to go through a couple of really key ones that we have done that I'm not sure everybody is yet aware. So the very most important one that we have done is every new adjunct faculty gets this welcome letter. And what's really important about this is kind of back to basics resources that you as an adjunct need to have access to. And so this does update you on a variety of things around your contract, timekeeping expectations, maintaining clinical compliance, APU identification, nurse badge, parking pass, things of that nature, faculty training, what types of large scale SON faculty training resources we have, learning the organizational structure, as well as where to go with questions. So most of you, because I've known most of you for the 7 years that I've been here, never got this email. So I do want you to know that this is brand new. We've done this now for about a semester and a half. And again, this is going to be constantly updated and evaluated by the School of Nursing leadership and the administrative faculty and staff, trying to create a cohesive first step for all of you guys. Oh, and at
Jeff,
any
do you
point,
want to answer Amanda's question real quick? Amanda Hagen has a quick question.
I was just going to say, anybody that has a question, they're in on the bottom panel where you guys have a couple of options. You should have a raise a hand option, and that's how you show up and pop up on our window so we know that somebody has a question like Amanda. Amanda, go ahead.
Quick question, Jeff. I don't know if you're screen sharing what you want to screen share. It's the agenda that's up right now.
Nope, that's not what I should be screen sharing.
Okay.
That's what I thought happened. I'm sorry. I apologize because I wish somebody would have said that. I am so sorry. Let me try this one more time. Screen 2. Share. Ta-da.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Real quick. This is our help center. This is what I was talking about, hoping you would see. Most common articles right here. You can search any of the articles in a variety of ways right here. You need to be logged in. This is how you know if you're logged in. The login will give you access to a lot more articles than when you are not logged in. We do have content that we do not share publicly. So just know that when you guys come here, that you should try to log in if you feel like you're looking for something specific. When I jump to the, and now I lost my place. Let me go back one here. This is the welcome letter. This is what it looks like. And there was a good question in the chat, and I apologize, I will not see chats because of how I'm sharing and everything like that, but I did see a chat when I disabled my share. This is not sent every semester. This is sent only at your first time of hire. And then this article is kept up to date in our article system, our help center, for you to access at any time. And so how would you get to that? You would get to it through the help center. And again, feel free to raise your hand for questions. If I see those or Amanda sees those, feel free to interrupt me. At the bottom of these, you can also rate whether the article was helpful, as well as leave a comment. Our team will field those comments and update the article as necessary if it feels like it's not quite hitting the mark. So what I linked to in the adjunct agenda is 2 more articles around the contract process, adjunct teaching workload and unit maximum. Those would be great resources for you to review if you are not familiar with them already. Contract process happens every semester, right? Everybody is getting either one contract or multiple contracts based on your assignments and your workload. And we'll cover a little bit of that a little bit later. But if you're not familiar with the contract process or you want to refamiliarize yourself, please click on that link and it walks you through what the steps are and who's responsible for what. The second resource that we help to manage in the operations team is this employee resource website. This was started a couple of years ago. It has had a few facelifts, and right now we are what it would look like if you landed on the homepage would be this. At the top, we will often put something that seems to be either urgent or is drawing attention of a lot of our faculty and staff. And so you will see an article up there that we have recently posted. Here are the few pieces that you want to know about in the employee resource website. First, the calendar. Everybody, if you guys are here regular, I would highly encourage you go to this updates and calendar section, scroll down to the SON master calendar, and then read the instructions on how to add that to your calendar system. To add that to your calendar system will then connect you with all of the major events that happen in the School of Nursing. And it will populate into your calendar and it'll look a little bit like this. So there are instructions there on how to do that. And if you don't want to embed it into yours, you can come here at any time and look through the calendar system and figure out what you'd like. The next link you're going to see here in our navigation is the Help Center. That's where we just were. Not going to navigate back to there. Going to go into orientation for a second. I just want you to see that we have some additional resources. Again, we are slowly migrating things over to the Help Center because it is a much more robust system for searching and finding and linking through our support center. but some stuff does live here on the website. Going over to governance, you will see the organizational chart, faculty bylaws, meetings, division structure. So here's some of the division structures that we have, and a variety of other resources around our governance. Faculty resources will include very specific items that are just for faculty, not for staff. And again, you can scroll through here and find a variety of things that exist. We have some media items for those that need the logos and such things of those nature, that is there. And then if we keep going down, there are a couple other things that I want to just make sure you're aware of, especially with it being pinning week, evening of excellence week, and commencement. We do have websites that support all of our students for those things and that have up-to-date information at any time with those pieces. And lastly, the research symposium is on here. And one last thing, student website. This is the student website. If you didn't catch that, it is the bottom link on the left side of the employee. So I'm on the employee website right now. And if I go to the very bottom, you will see student website. When I click on student website, it takes me to all of the information we pass out or push out to the School of Nursing students in a global way. One of the most important pieces of this website is the handbook and guidelines. This is where we give and host and hold all of our guidelines for the different divisions and programs, but also the main student handbook. So you're going to want to be familiar with where this information is in case you ever have any questions. And again, there's a variety of resources on the left. Amanda.
Hi, sorry.
You're good.
Do we know when summer pinning is going to be? Because okay.
I would love to give you that answer. I will tell you that Renee has been excellent about pushing. So Dr. Poza, interim dean, has been excellent about making sure that we're getting things on the calendar as fast as we can ahead of time so everybody can plan. However, summer pinning is always a difficult challenge. We have to do not only our schedule for the campus and our own individual programs, which all have some different challenges there, but then all of the facilities are going under repair, doing different things. They have sports, they have a variety of things that we have to balance. So it's very difficult for us to nail that down.
Would we, I guess what I just watched this page for a date, my students are asking, because we're running into with the 180 hours of clinical in the critical care setting.
Yep.
It's pushing really close to pinning, and then I'm getting a lot of questions from students. So I don't know. Do I just keep an eye on the page?
Push that up to your chair and your folks. And what they will do is they will speak into that when we get to the point of having that discussion of like, is this a good date for pinning in summer? And they can speak into if that becomes a problem.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah,
great question. Thank you. All right, going to the next thing is TAMS. All right, I was hoping to get you a poll, but unfortunately I'm not seeing polls in my queue for the moment, but all of you should be logging in to TAMS. And TAMS is our newest system this past year that we launched. It is a teaching assignment management system. This is how we are managing your assignments and your workload. And so I just wanted to give you a quick overview in case this is new to you. This is what your view would look like. I am currently in as James Adams. I don't know if he's actually on the call today, but this is James Adams' adjunct profile as of this moment. This is updated in real time, and this is what your options should look like on the left. You would have a dashboard that would tell you what the academic period is, what your workload is. Every adjunct is allowed up to 24 units for the year. They are allowed 8 units a semester, 9 units at the most for a semester. And then let's see, what else we got? You have preferences, which we do in the summer. So all of you that that follow your emails in the summertime, you will see an email from our operations team letting you know that it's time to select preferences. This is where you would do that. What I want to show you most importantly is this is where your workload should match what your understanding is of what you're doing. So when you click on my workload on the left side, you're going to see the academic period at the top. And as we get more periods, this is where you'll be able to look at previous years. You will see what you did in fall, spring, and summer. So one of the things that we're changing in as we move into next year is all of our chairs and our directors are going to be allowed to start plotting these things out in the entire academic year at an earlier state. So you may see, as we get into fall of 23, you may actually see that your plan for the next year may be penciled in. So for example, I'm seeing in summer that James Adams would have 1.5 units of assignments in the first row. And if I come down to the bottom, I would see what that summary is for those units. I see spring term here assignment, spring here assignment, and then here's my summer assignment. Does this match with my understanding of what my workload is? Have my contracts started to make sense in what my assignments are? Are they allowing me to put hours into timekeeping and those things? You can switch from summary to detail here. And one of the things that you will see is how did your chair give you units? So for example, the D, if you hover over it, will say didactic lecture. This will show clinical rotations and so on. So for James Adams, he was given 1.5 units for in-person summer GNRS 5. I think it was 33 or 34. And that is what he is assigned for summer. That is what the operations team will generate a contract for. If it is not in TAMS, we are not giving you a contract. So if you feel like you should have a different assignment in your TAMS profile, then please, 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 please email your department chair and let them know that you think there's an error in your TAMS workload. Any questions? Amanda, you still have a hand up? No problem, just checking, just making sure. I was hoping 3 for 3, but that's okay. All right, so hopefully all of you saw the link below number 3, which says how to log into TAMS. Click on that article, follow the instructions. It will help you learn how to log into TAMS. Again, if you see a discrepancy in your profile, please email your department chair as soon as possible. We need to get that straightened out because we have to create the contracts, etc. All right, last thing that we do to support in operations is our email system. Last semester, about 6 months ago, we moved to a singular email address that is sonoperations@apu.edu. You can email my team right there, any question you have. If it is an academic question, something related to your department in a more academic sense, we will redirect you to a chair or a director. But however, anything else that is not department specific, feel free to email SON Operations. If you don't know who to ask, email SON Operations. That's what we are there for. We are there to support you as you go through this process. Any questions before I go into some real quick updates? Nope.
Jeff,
Yep.
there is a question about who do we talk to about getting our summer contracts? People have not gotten them yet.
Yeah, great question. So the first thing you want to do is check TAMS. Is your TAMS assignments correct? If it is correct and you have not gotten your contract yet, one of the things you can do is email SON Operations. I'm going to get into the very next update is a little bit around this topic. So I will tell you, we have not sent out all the contracts yet. So that's actually perfect timing. So under my updates and assignments section, one of the things that you will see is the review of summer. That's actually supposed to be spring. I'm so sorry. Let me change that up real quick. So in spring, we had 731 assignments for the School of Nursing. We are a massive, massive program, right? 22 to 2,300 students. We got somewhere in the 500 to 600 plus adjuncts that are active. We have 80 some full-time faculty. We've got a budget of, close to 20 million, right? Like it is a massive undertaking to do this. So we appreciate you guys getting into some of these systems, which allow us to manage these things with a few less personnel, but hopefully do it more efficiently. So out of those 731 assignments, 472 of those were adjunct assignments. So again, just giving you a little bit of a balance of how our assignments were versus our full-time workload. This summer, we currently have 590 assignments. I assume that may shoot up to about 625 is what I'm thinking. And then right now we're at 397 assignments, and we have 97 that are unfilled or a contract has not been sent. So 97 that either don't have an adjunct faculty in the slot yet or a full-time faculty in the slot yet. And we probably have a chunk of those people that are in the process of getting their adjunct contracts. Adjunct contracts get created in operations. Once we get the go-ahead from the department chair, we create the contract. Renee Posa signs it first, and then it will go to you guys, and then it goes to the business office. And again, we detail that out in some of those links in the article system that you can check out if you want some more details around that. Chronos and timekeeping. I'm gonna move to Chronos and timekeeping. Again, feel free to raise a question at any time about anything. Let me share my screen one more time, screen 2. Next, Bren. All right, where are we at? Chronos and timekeeping, perfect. This is right where we're supposed to be. In the article system, there, or our help center, which is the article system, there is a section of timekeeping in Chronos. If you can never, for one reason or another, we get this is probably one of our leading questions in our ticket system. If you cannot log your hours in Chronos, please go to this link. It will walk you through step by step what to do. So if you cannot log into Chronos because you don't have an APU ID, you got kicked out, it's from 3 weeks ago, you forgot to add your hours, whatever it is, that's the article that's going to walk you through how to solve that. It's very simple, but you got to go through the steps in the process. So just know that exists. The second thing that we have a lot of challenges with is recording meal breaks. If you are in an assignment from your department and you are in a clinical environment where you have to work more than 6 hours straight, it's actually more than 5 hours straight, I'm sorry. If you have to work more than 5 hours straight without a break, you need to understand how to record your meal breaks, because the university system follows state laws, and then there are penalties and repercussions that are applied to the School of Nursing if you do not follow the meal break penalty system. If you have been in Chronos and you've put in your time beautifully, and you've noticed a red, almost exclamation looking icon pop up, that means that you have something that needs attention. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get paid, but it does mean it needs attention. Usually that means you took a really long break, which the system just thinks is odd. But the more common one is that you need to add a meal break into what you are doing. And if you were not directed on not taking a meal break, so for example, we have often clinical faculty who will work a 12-hour shift. In our system, there should be 2 meal breaks in there. And if you don't know how to do that, please read this article, because we are getting dinged as a school every time that we have that situation happen. All right, next one is timekeeping hours change request form. When there is an issue with our timekeeping and Chronos has an issue, you're going to end up at this form. This form is a unique form that we created in the School of Nursing that allows us to process it digitally and faster. If you email timekeeping directly, you will get the form that they use, which is a more process-heavy form. Please use our form. It will make everybody's life a little bit easier. That is timekeeping in Chronos, recording meals, covered that. My last thing here is to just share with you guys that we have that ticket system I was telling you about since January 1st. Since January 1st, 4 months, not 4. I did show 5 and say 4. I meant 4. 4 months, our operations team has solved over 1,300 tickets, and 50% of those have been solved in the first 24 hours. I'm not saying 50% installed in the first 24 hours is impressive. We will get better at that since it's new to us. But the fact that our team has handled 1,300 questions is impressive. And so I do want to say kudos to that team that I recognized at the beginning. They are 100% behind most of those tickets being solved. And as we get more efficient and as you guys become more efficient as employees, we will be able to get to these things quicker. The last section that I always put in is if you have a question, single point of contact, non-department, non-academic, go to SO1 operations. If you have something that is confidential or sensitive, part of my role is being in the office of the dean. That means you can come to me with an issue. You can send me an issue. It will not go to anybody else. It will go directly to the dean. The dean will then figure out how to manage that situation. So just know that I do act as an extension of her in the office of the dean capacity. Again, if it's sensitive or confidential, please don't send it to SO1 operations. Please send it directly to me or Renee so that we can follow up on that. I think that's it. If there's no other questions, I will continue to move on. If you have feedback, as always, please email me or text me or however you want to do that. My phone number, my mobile number is on all of my emails. So if you have any emails from me, you can find my mobile number. You can text me, call me anytime as you have issues. I am here to support you guys. All right. I think that's it for my part. I lost my agenda, so I think that's it. Yeah, department chairs are at the bottom. That was the last thing. Oh, and somebody started to fill in the email addresses. Thank you for whoever that was.
Oh, there's a question, Jeff, from
Sure.
Vicky about, for instance, this is considered mandatory education and meetings, where to record that in Kronos.
I'm sorry, was the question, do we record it in Kronos?
Yeah, yes. Well,
Yeah.
I think the question is where, or do you just put the hours in and under the chair? We actually, well, I'll let you
Yeah,
say.
so
It's my
everybody that
question,
participates-
Jeff. So I'll clarify for you. What I'm
Sure.
looking for is, it doesn't, our Kronos just goes underneath hours, and it just says hours, and then you put them underneath a chair, and there's no label, whether it's clinical,
right.
or
right.
meetings or mandatory education. So I just wanted to know, is that what we do? Because if I was the chair, I'd see this, 3 hours pop up and go, what the heck is that for?
Yeah, no, great question. And so I'm going to back up a little bit here. So each of you adjuncts, when you get your first contract, it will create essentially how you're going to record hours. It will automatically put all of the budget information into your timekeeping card. However, if you get a second contract with a different budget number, this is when you start to get multiple rate codes. You will get an email that will list out the multiple rate codes, and it will tell you exactly which departments and so on that is associated with those rate codes. If you are struggling with the rate codes, please email SO1 operations and we will try to help you. I will also add some content in the future to help with that and get that to you guys. For this particular meeting, if you don't have rate codes and you don't know what I'm talking about with rate codes, you don't have to worry about it. Just log your hours that you have for this recording that you spend doing this development. If you have multiple rate codes, please use a didactic rate code if you have it. If you don't have a didactic rate code, then it doesn't matter. Use any rate code that you have access to. But ultimately, we would prefer you use the didactic rate code versus a clinical rate code. Yeah, thank you, Vicky, for that. And I will add that to my script in the future because that's always a question we get.
And we do not have a training rate code. We've talked about it, but we do not have that right now.
Correct. Yep. And you do get paid for this recording, even if you're watching this recording after the fact. I will say, just again, please use log the time of 2 hours for this video session. Thank you.
Because we get also get paid for like the COVID-19, the annual education, correct?
If the university is making you do any annual stuff that is required, then yes. If it is a voluntary component, then no, unless your chair has approved it. That's a great question, and I hope I clarified that a little bit, right? If you are directed non-voluntary, it is paid. Janet. You're muted still, I'm so sorry. That's all right.
Okay, I'm
There
sorry.
you go.
Okay, so I just have a question. I've been logging in for a while. And you know, sometimes if you're at home and you're teaching didactic, you're often on your computer and stuff like that because you're doing a lot of work on Canvas with the didactic, especially at the beginning. So do you really like log in 2 to 4 and then 5 to 7 and then something like that? Or can you just group it?
That's a great question. I'm going to answer it by the APU's employee handbook definition. And if you work with your chair and kind of navigate into a different direction, that's your guys' choice. The handbook would state that you need to round to the nearest 15-minute mark and need to be accurate up to when you're on and off. So if you are on from 9:15 to 9:45, take an hour break and then come back on at 11:15 and go for 2 hours, right? You would legitimately go by every 15-minute mark and record it as such.
Wow. Okay, the other thing is I know that it usually we can have up to 29 hours per week period. Is that correct?
Depends on how you're defining that. I'm going to clarify that a little bit.
Okay.
So your assignment dictates how many hours you should be spending a week.
Okay.
The APU policy for max hours an adjunct can spend in a week is 29.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, one last question.
Sure.
Or maybe it's a comment. With clinical, I don't know about the other clinical instructors,
Yeah.
but I have students like on 8 different pods. Okay. And so I get there like an hour and a half before the students arrive. So
Sure.
I can make sure they have their assignments.
Sure.
So I feel so terrible because every time I put that in, if I'm going to be honest, it's going
Yeah.
to be more than 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so every time, poor Megan, I know,
Yeah.
gets an email that says your employee did
Yep.
overtime. So is that looked down upon? I mean, because you
Sure.
can't really, first of all, I think the nurses who are going to be precepting the students have a right to have an advance notice that they're going to do that. So the more advance notice I can give them before the student comes, the better. So anyhow, I'm just curious about that. Is that looked down upon because you have a half-hour overtime on your clinical days because you're being honest with your, marking
time
your
frame.
hours?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's a fantastic question, Janet. It's something that I will just tell you that the chairs as a whole have talked about a lot. I really think it's important that if you have that question for others as well, besides Janet, that you really talk with your department chair and navigate that question together, because there's a couple of different ways you can go. If that hour and a half, let's say, that you're spending before you start your clinical could be done at another time, but you as the adjunct are picking that time to do it, right? How and where do you land that? If it could have been done the day before so that it doesn't create an hour and a half of overtime, then that might be an option. But that's something you really have to navigate with your department chair, because they will have a better understanding of how to apply that. But yeah, we have adjunct faculty who work 12-hour shifts. So if they work a 12-hour shift, they've automatically got 4 hours of overtime. And sometimes if they're either there early or working late with the students, sometimes that becomes double overtime. And so just know that our expense budget, I guarantee you, is the largest in the university because of the way our clinical adjuncts work. With that being said, the School of Nursing over the last 2 years has been about $1 million over in our adjunct budget. So yes, it does matter that we do it. We would love for everybody to be mindful about that, but it really shouldn't be done independently. It really should be done in conjunction with your chair so that your chair has your back in case there was ever a question that just says, hey, why are we having 12 hours on a single day? They know exactly why, and they can explain why. And it's not just you guys making it on an island, making that decision on an island.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it is if it's approved, it's acceptable.
Okay,
And
thank-
approved means by your chair.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Anybody else? Did that bring up any other questions for anybody else? Yeah, again, if you're gonna bring up specific instances, any overtime, the policy by the handbook is that all overtime is approved before you do it by your chair. That's the same with a meal break, by the way. If you are getting those red exclamation points on your time card and it is a meal break when you hover over it, that is not allowed unless your department chair has approved it beforehand. Essentially what that means, just the meal break for a quick second, it means that what you're recording is that your supervisor didn't allow you to follow the state law and take a break. There is a way to get around it, and it's very simple, and you just have to waive the meal break penalty. However, when you recorded a straight 6 hour, 8 hour, 12-hour day, you are essentially saying that your supervisor did not allow you for a break. And we don't want that to be true if it's not true, or shown as that if it's not true. No, we will not get in trouble for overtime, but you need it pre-approved. Amanda.
So I've been in discussions with this with a couple people, and I'm curious if it's ever been on your radar that when you're at the clinical site, we're never completely free of responsibility from the students, even if we pull them all off the floor. So I've worked for another university where we got paid out for 2 lunches instead. But I mean, have they talked about that at all?
I think it's, again, I would say it's unique to every situation and every clinical assignment more than it is a flat that all of our adjunct faculty who teach a 6-8 hour clinical or plus, right, have paid meal breaks. The meal breaks are not just paid, they're paid a time and a half. The School of Nursing gets, a hand slap for it. There's a variety of things that, again, from a state level, that we are not recording it correctly. It doesn't mean that we don't want to pay you for it. It just means that we need to waive it so that we can pay it correctly and show it to the state if we were ever audited that we were recording our time correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great questions. And I would push that back to your chair. Fantastic questions. All right. Asniv, I see a question as far as the red market doesn't go away when you waive the meal break, as long as the way, yes, that is a great point, Asniv. When you do waive the meal break or waive what, if you address that exclamation bar, it will not go away, but the waive is recorded and it shows up on reports when we pull that as being waived and all that fun stuff. So. All right, everybody, I'm going to disappear. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, we're going to get into our continuing education hour, our 55 minutes. So Bridget is going to share her screen and introduce what we're going to teach today. I'm really, really excited about this. So take it away, Bridget, and we will go from there.
Thanks, Amanda. How are you guys? Still holding up? This last part of the meeting will be a little bit more interactive. And what we want to do is provide some strategies for learning that are a little bit different than just, lecturing or going to clinical and doing your post-conference, but something else that maybe to get the students interested, something new and different. And so our presentation today is called Andragogy in Nursing Education, using gamification in the form of an escape room. And this is something that Amanda and I were able to present briefly to the full faculty meeting last month, But this time, we'll actually help you maybe start building one on your own, inserting some questions, and we'll actually get to try it out. So our objectives tonight, we're going to first review the principles of andragogy, and we'll talk about the application in adult learning theory, as far as gamification in nursing. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to use an escape room, how to enhance that didactic and clinical learning. And we will learn how to build an escape room using Google Forms. And I'll pass it over to Amanda.
Great, thank you so much. As you can imagine, this wonderful group that's here, we all teach in different programs. Some of us are undergrad, upper division, all the way up into the doctoral. So you can imagine how finding a topic that relates to all of us could present some challenges, but this one captures all levels of students. So andragogy is, you may have heard of pedagogy, and that's actually like peds, teaching of children. Andragogy is teaching of adults. Very different strategies involved here. And I looked it up and I thought, well, what age are they really talking about? Are they talking about older adults, like, 25 and up? And they said actually at around age 13, believe it or not, is when adult learning theories can be put into place, meaning you need to start thinking that more of an adult learner is more self-directed and wants to learn certain things. So different than pedagogy, where you think of a traditional elementary classroom. The other thing that I really found, and I feel like probably many of you will resonate with, I was trained my master's is in family nurse practitioner. I did not get a master's in education. So for those of you that have an MSN in education, this is probably nothing real new for you. But for those of us that were trained in other areas and weren't trained how to teach, I really had a lot of learning to do and still have a lot of learning to do on how to teach most effectively. I'll tell you what strategies I was using and how I realized maybe they're not as effective as I'd like as we go through some slides. So I've had a lot to learn. I did do the nurse faculty loan program and took education courses, and my mind was blown. Is that the second slide, Bridget? Can you go back to the other one?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so Malcolm Knowles is kind of the father of adult learning theory. So this may or may not surprise you, but adult learners are self-directed, meaning they really do want to be in charge of their own learning. They pull what they know to enhance learning, and that is called the constructivism theory. They kind of construct based off what you know as an adult. That's why in our NP program, we have people that are already nurses. So they build upon what they know as a nurse and build upon that to become a nurse practitioner. This one you'll probably resonate with too. They need to know why they are learning something. Have you ever seen a patient or a student where they just don't seem engaged because they're probably thinking, why do I need to know this? So explaining the why is really important to adult learners. And of course, learning is enhanced when it's relevant to their personal life, when they can build upon it. And problem-centered learning is effective, which means if you do a case study or a group work where they have to solve a problem, then that's effective. And that's what we'll teach you with the escape room. So you can go to the next slide. Like I said before, learners will feel what they need to learn. So the motivation really comes when they buy into the learning. They learn by doing. They learn by problem solving and in informal environments. So discussion is good. Questions and answers are good. Reflection is a really good learning strategy. But they also need guidance and want to be considered an equal in the learning process. Before you go to the next slide, Bridget, can someone just shout out, because I'm going to share my story. I was an adjunct for 16 years before I became full-time 5 years ago. So I feel like I'm pretty new at full-time teaching. And teaching has been the hardest job I've ever had because there's a lot of different strategies. So I'm a very heavy lecturer by nature. And I thought I was being really effective, passing on all my knowledge to the students, but just somebody shout out or put it in the chat. How much percentage do you think students retain if you only lecture? What percentage do you think it is? 30%. Amanda, you're good. Go ahead.
20%.
20. Okay, good. 10, 10, 30.
5.
5. Somebody looked ahead. Or you're a good guesser, Janet. Good. Okay, good. Some of you are right on and some of you are where I was, because I thought, gosh, I'm so interesting. I'm such a good lecturer. They're going to remember everything. But you can go to the next slide, Bridget. This pyramid of learning changed my whole philosophy on teaching. I was, like I said, a heavy lecturer, tell stories. I thought I was engaging, and maybe I am, I don't know. But according to this, students only remember 5% of what you say weeks later. And this is very well validated. So we don't want them to remember 5%. We want them to remember 75 to 90%. So I love this pyramid of learning. Please refer to this later when you're designing how you teach. When, adjuncts, you do post conferences, you do a lot more teaching. And even if you're not doing up front of the classroom teaching, you're still doing delivery of teaching. So even if you have a 10 or 15 minute debrief after clinical, keep this in mind. 10% if a student reads, and you can go on down, and you can see it gets greater as the student gets more engaged and has more hands-on learning. They discuss, they do it, and they teach others. And so I really, really like this pyramid of learning. You can go to the next slide. So another thing that Bridget and I did, as we're co-chairs of the Faculty Professional Development Committee, is we did a survey. And so we did a needs assessment, and what some of you did it, many adjuncts did it as well as full-time faculty. What you guys wanted was more instruction on adult learning strategies. That was almost half the recipients, and then also using technology in the classroom. And I'm learning of this too. So I'm really excited for tonight and what Bridget's going to teach us. So those were the top 2 needs. So therefore we designed this presentation for tonight. And so we're going to teach you about gamification, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's doing games for learning. So we pulled up some articles. It is evidence-based. It's newer in the literature. So I pulled some articles from a couple of years ago and from last year, and there are some randomized controls trials. It does, when you engage a student in a game, they do have better skills, especially in the skills lab, more confidence and motivation, and feel very prepared. It also can strengthen learning behaviors and attitudes towards learning. Because if you think about it, it's not just being lectured at, it's being involved, it's a problem solving, whatever the game is. There's a lot of different gaming ideas out there in teaching, but it allows an active learning. And that's what they're saying produces the most retention of what people learn. So there are a lot of articles about it. All right, so Bridget, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so our areas of focus for the rest of the presentation, the rest of this evening, is you will participate in actually going through a very short, abbreviated escape room yourself. And then also I am going to provide a template that you can build on, and I can help you to kind of troubleshoot some of that. Now I realize that we have almost 100 participants, so I'm not going to be able to help everybody with every question and build your escape room simultaneously, but I will do my best to get some of the general things answered. So I want you to try it out. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And go ahead and try this out. And now if you were at the full faculty meeting, you've already done this, feel free to do it again if you want. And then after, we'll give you about 5 minutes to go through, kind of see how it feels to be in the escape room. And then we'll show you how to use one or to build one. And then once you've gone through the escape room, go ahead and just give me a thumbs up, maybe a thumbs up emoji, smiley face emoji, or thumbs down if you want.
And if you can't access it, please let us know. Suzanne Cook cannot access the escape room. Do you have any ideas?
If you're not able to access it, it may be because you're not logged in using your APU email address. And for those of you that have already gone through this escape room, I will drop in another link. And this will give you an opportunity to go through a clinical escape room that I built for my pediatric FNP course. Yes, absolutely, Isaac. Has anybody finished the adult learning escape room?
Now, when I hit the 5% of what they remember. Oh, maybe it's 20, maybe I did it wrong. The cone of learning. Is anyone else having trouble with the? I'm having trouble with the question, but maybe nobody else is.
It wouldn't let me move forward until I clicked 20%, but now it says the correct answer is 5% that I'm looking at my scores.
Yeah, that's what
So-
issue I'm having too. So maybe there was just a little glitch behind that.
But it definitely keeps you in there until you pick what it wants you to pick. You just loop around.
I'm trying to help some people get on. Do you want to? Oh, Ruth, are you on the dermatology one? Okay.
Oh,
You must be doing the dermatology one. That's okay. There is both.
oh, I did. I didn't answer any dermatology questions. Bye, Jeff. I do know what impetigo is.
I'm not sure why some of you, if you're on your APU, can't access it.
So, I mean, I think there are asterisked things that means you have to do, you know, or you can't get in. So the little star, so did you actually put your name as well as
Oh.
your APU email? Because you have to put your name, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, it does make you put your name. It could be that even if you've logged into your APU address, if you're logged into another Google account, sometimes it'll recognize that as the primary and not pick that up. So you might have to close out the other things. As far as the feedback that like you're getting different, let me see, unrelated feedback, it may be that as we've been working with a lot of people, they somehow have gotten into not just the template portion. So we will suspend that reality for just a second.
Yeah.
Just to give you guys an idea of how it works. But it seems like most of you probably have gone through most of it. So I want to show you, if you didn't get a chance to go through this part, I just wanted to show you what it would look like, not, just for our learning purposes, but what the student might see. This is something that I built. I wanted to talk about GI and GU complaints for my pediatric primary care class. And so I built this escape room. This person is going to go see their first patient, and here's the chief complaint. And so here you have a chance to do an open-ended question, and the student can type in whatever they want. Then I go into differential diagnoses, and then I'm just going to pick one. I'm not even going to read it right now. I just want to kind of show you, but you can go and do multiple choice questions. If you get it right, great job. If you don't get it right, it will just circle you back, or I have them now, they're forced to look up the signs and symptoms because they didn't get it right the first time. So then they're going to go in and write something there, have to go back, progress again. So really you have to find the answer before going. It's not like taking a quiz where if you don't get the answer right, oh, well, you might not remediate, you might not go back and look, but this really forces you to understand before you move forward. And so it continues just like that. So diagnosis, I got it. I'm just gonna keep moving. I didn't get it right. I'll go again. And it keeps going. So that's kind of the gist. You can build it as long as you want, as short as you want. You might only want to do one question, maybe 3 questions. This one's rather long because I went through a couple topics, and you can have one student go in and do it individually, or you can have multiple groups go in and work together, which is also kind of fun. And you have each group kind of competing to see who can get out of the escape room up first.
The theory is called mastery-based learning. So the student does not get to stop until they've mastered the answer. So that's the theory behind it.
Mm-hmm. So Bridget, do you just, for the groups, do you just put people in groups in the Zoom and have them each work on their link?
I do. Now,
Okay.
if I'm and now because I primarily teach over Zoom, that's how we do it in the breakout room. And then the first team that goes back into the main room, they win. Didn't win much, but they win. They get the acknowledgement that their team broke out of the room first. You can also do it in a classroom-based face-to-face setting where you have them just break out into groups, and they have one computer. They hover over it, they talk about it. Maybe somebody else is looking things up. And so they're doing the research, they're actively looking for the answer, and they're trying to compete all at the same time. So in the classroom setting, I've done it quite a few times, and it gets really loud and everyone gets really excited about it, but it does get them, off their bottoms and more engaged with one another. So I love it because I can hear what they're thinking out loud, their thinking process. I can see where they're going for resources. I will catch them on Google and have to redirect them to something more like up to date or, a micromedics or something like that. But it does help me to understand their learning processes as well. So I do want to offer you an escape room template that you can it's hard to work from scratch. So it's something for you to use and try to manipulate yourselves into something that is fitting to what you teach. And in order to access the template, it is just like the other ones. You have to be logged into your APU profile in order to access. So I'm going to give that here. This is what you should see. You should see, please make a copy. Once you go to make a copy of your escape room, it does take a little bit to pop up. If it says copy of the escape room, you're in, okay? And then let's say this is Ruth. She can put her name there, and then you'll know you're only working on your own instead of the master template.
So once it says copy of escape room template, I can rename it to my own?
Yes, you can rename it to your own. Like say, I can rename it here. And then now I'm working on my own template. Say I don't want this picture because I'm looking for something more, I don't know. Let me see here. Oops. You can go into Google Images, which is really nice. You can search your images. I'm going to put a stethoscope. I'm just going to grab one. Or you can pull an image off your desktop. You can, whatever you want. You can put something in there and then you can put the title. You always have to have this student email section so you can give credit, but also this is how you're going to get feedback. And so it's already built in here. It's under a short answer. That means they're going to write in their name. And here's this toggle button right here. Put it as a required feature. So then you can collect the feedback and see. You can award points as well. So there's more options here. You can go down. You can go down to description. You want to add some other things. There's just so many different things that you could do with this, but for this part, we're just going to keep it simple, short answer. It prompts them to give you your email address. When you're in the template, you can go ahead and delete this part. So because you don't want to give this to your student. To delete a section, you have to click on the box to make it active. So click on the box to make it active. You can delete it. I want to keep this section, or you can delete the section. So there's sections and then there's boxes within the section. Deleting a box, it's really easy. The trash can's right here. But if you want to delete a section, you have to go into the 3 dots and delete the section. So after you've deleted the instructions, you have your challenge question. This is where if you go ahead and click it, make it active, go ahead and you can title it whatever you want. I put challenge 2. When I'm working with NP students, I'll put exam room 1, exam room 2, something like that. And then you type in your question right here, and then you have your options. So here it's already because of the template, it's already pre-dedicated to option 1 is going to be the right answer. So when you use a template, put the right answer for option 1. So what is your favorite color? I'm going to choose purple, red, etc. If you want to change your answer key, you want to go here to answer key, and this is where you will click. which answers are right and which answers are wrong. Now, within the template, you have to tell the form where to go. Okay, so I've already told the form that if you pick this top one, go to section 4. So it will automatically go to section 4. This is how you get in that loop. Go to section 4, and my section 4 says you're right. And then you can type in your rationale here. Is everyone still following me?
I think we better back up because I think we might need to go back to the very, 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 very beginning. Only because I'm trying to follow along, and you know, if I'm struggling, I'm sure most people are.
What part are you on, Amanda?
Okay, I couldn't figure out how to change a picture, but I'll worry about that later. I titled my escape room, and then it says student name and student email. And then section 2, make a copy. I already made a copy, correct?
Yep, so you can already delete that.
So I delete that with the 3 buttons.
You'll delete it with the 3 buttons, delete section.
Okay.
Or if you're in one of these boxes, you can hit the trash can on the top.
Got it.
Okay. If you want to change the picture, add image right here under
you click on the picture. Okay.
Add image, and you can go to Google Image, your Drive, your own photos. I went to image. I put you can type in Google Image and then pick a different picture.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't want this picture anymore. I can delete that.
All right. So to get to like just one simple question,
so
in section
that should be
2.
in section 2. This part right here, whatever the section is, that's not where you're going to type your question. That's where you're going to introduce the question. This is where I would typically say, I'm going into exam room now. Here's your first patient. Let's see what's going on. That's my intro. The question doesn't start until the box here. So click on that box and make it active. You can ask your question here. And then you can put in your
next question.
Okay, so then you can put in your options. So I just want to go back to this part right here. Amanda, are you ready to go move forward too?
Well, maybe we should hear from the group because how's everyone doing? Is anyone able to follow along? I guess I'm just even struggling with how to do a question. Does anyone else want to chime in?
I haven't got to the site. I don't know how to get started.
I know.
I wonder if one of the things that I found, I come from a university that used Outlook products, all Microsoft, and Google is quite different.
It is, yes.
And I wonder if it would help people if we just showed them, share the screen, how to make a copy of the template. Because once you make a copy of the template, it's your own and you can do whatever you want. But otherwise, you can end up tweaking somebody else's work that they're working on, depending on if you're an editor or not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is that maybe one thing that we could start people is just there. I mean, you put the template there.
Yeah, so when I went here, so if we go back, let me show you the template. So soon, this is the link. And I'll go ahead and put it one more time. So it's just at the bottom of the chat for everybody. And so if you go to that link, this is what you're going to see on your screen. You can't go past that. And remember, you have to be in your APU login. To make a copy, all you have to do is hit that make a copy.
Yes.
Yes. And was it Karen that couldn't get on? Karen, have you been able to get onto this part now?
You're muted.
Yeah, I found it now.
Oh, good. Okay, now Bridget, what's the next step after this?
The
If we
next
don't
step-
want, let's say we're not going to change the picture. What's the next step after this?
Well, I just want to show, so since we're making copy, this is where you're going to change your name.
Oh, thank you.
Put your name, change whatever you want to call it. That's where it goes. You can change this to as your title. So this is where you can delete the section because you've already made a copy.
Okay.
And then if this is your own template, you can delete it and not ever have to worry about it again. Okay, so got rid of that. So now I'm back here to my section 2. So
Okay.
everyone, section 2, if you deleted that, make a copy, that's gone. This is section 2. This is your again, your intro. So this is my exam room 1. And you can give the instructions here. Please go see the patient. How do you assess pain? So I'm just clicking in and out of it to make it active. Okay, so if you just click around, you'll see it's active. When you see way too much information, you know it's active. And you can work on it.
Okay, I got it now. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put the right answer here because since it's the template, I've already told it to go where it needs to go. So once you work on your first one, you might get a little bit more creative and you can change it up. But if you're just working the template, the first one is going to make it say it's in the right spot. You're right. The wrong answers are going to be go to section 3. If they picked D, I can also add an option. So if they picked B, C, or D, it's going to take them to this section 3. And once they pick the wrong answer, it's going to say you didn't quite get it. Review the question, go back, and it's automatically going to loop you back to the same question. Now, if they get it right, they picked old cart. It's going to take them to number 4. You're right. Once they're in that section, the arrow is going to let them now move forward. And so you can build your next question here. Okay, so then this is where I would say, I'm going into exam room 2 now. Here's my next question. Here are my next options.
Maybe we should pause and let everyone write one question. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be okay? Okay.
If you're following along, go ahead and just give me a thumbs up with your emoji, or just kind of let me know if you've written one question, because I want to show you now how to check if it's working. Amanda, were you able to write a question?
I wrote under section 3, right? Challenge 2. I said, how do you take a history? And I gave 3 different answers. First one was right, and the next 2 were not right, right? That's what I was supposed to do. Okay.
So let's say I'm like, well, they can do old cart, but they can also assess pain using Wong Baker or pain scale. And I want this to be right. I would have to go into this answer key right here in the lower left of the section. And I'd have to click that it's right as well. So that's where you're going to change if you want to change the answer key yourself. And then you go done. Well, if this is right and this is right, you also need to change now. You are right. So if they pick this, it's going to take them to the you are right instead of having them circle and circle and circle back. So if you change something on the answer key, you want to just make sure that you change it back here. So in the beginning, you might just want to do something simple, follow the template, and then as you get more adapted to the Google Forms, you can change it up a little bit more. So I think Megan also said that she wrote her questions. I want to show you where to check to see if it's working or not. So if you go up to this eyeball here, this eyeball icon, it says preview. This is where you can test it. Name. And if I go to the wrong answer, it takes me to not quite. It's going to circle back. Oops. It's going to circle backwards, and then I have to do it again. And it takes me to the next one. So as you're building it, if you want to go through a few at a time to see, but that's how you're going to test it before you give it to the students.
I'm so sorry. Can you say how you tested it again? How do you do the student view?
So you go up to the preview.
Oh, the eye there. Okay.
And then it takes you, and another way to know if you're in the student view is if you go here to the browser, it says form response as opposed to your edit.
Got it.
That's how you'll know if you're an edit or the actual escape room. When you're building your first one, you want to also make a copy so that you have the original template to work from. I do want to say that once you build one, it makes it really easy to build the first one. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling, this is going to take me 4 hours, it might, but your second one might only take you 30 minutes because you're just replacing the questions and maybe whatever you decide is right, A, B, C, or D. So there is a little bit of a learning curve, but I typically get good feedback from the students. It's just something new and different. You don't want to make it overly long because, think about yourself. You don't want to be stuck in this escape room for too long. So I try to make it something where a student can get through in about 20 minutes, even with some wrong answers. Because that will foster some discussion as well. Amanda, you love to lecture. You could give a 15-minute lecture and then test their knowledge by giving them a minute escape room.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be just based on what you just lectured on, but something tangential so that it does require them to go actively look for the answers as well. So however you want to use it. I can see it being used also in clinical. You can, test on maybe a skill or a certain topic. I know in clinical debrief, sometimes there's a theme for the day that maybe students are seeing a lot of a certain type of patient. So you can use it for a bunch of different things. Okay. Show you next part. So tonight you will get an opportunity to get a CEU, and because you get the opportunity for a CEU, it doesn't mean you had to master the escape room to get the CEU. You just had to sit and listen to Amanda and I kind of go through this presentation, but you will be asked to give us your feedback and answer some questions. So we don't want you to leave without knowing the answers, do we? So the questions you're going to be asked are, why are the principles of andragogy important in nursing education? How is gamification used? And how does it improve nursing outcomes? I'll give you the answer in a little bit. So the summary today, I found this quote from Ralph Koster, and he writes a book about gamification and just the theory of fun. And he says, that's what games are. In the end, they're teachers. Their fun is just another word for learning. References. So let's go through the questions. This is what you will see in your feedback. So I'm not going to give you the answers, but you can look at the questions right now. It says, why are the principles of andragogy important in nursing education? Amanda touched on that in the beginning of our presentation. How can gamification be used in nursing education? So I have seen gamification used in Skills Lab, where you complete a specific skill station, you earn a badge, or you earn some points and you keep moving forward. And it is an incentive for the student to move through the different stations, learn the skills, and try to add to the knowledge that they have. You can also do it in simulation, where parts of simulation, if they meet certain objectives, they can earn some points or a badge or something like that. Points usually works pretty well. And I've seen it also being used in a clinical setting where students have to meet certain objectives. Maybe they are getting, if we're talking about NP students, they're getting the components of their SOAP note, or in an RN bedside component, finishing a skill. Basically, it's just adding up, leveling up, and trying to improve on the knowledge. How does gamification improve nursing education? The literature shows that gamification helps students stay motivated. It helps to improve the intensity of preparation. Even if they forgot to do their pre-work or their pre-reading prep, utilizing this type of teaching and learning helps them to now, have to show what they've learned or what they prepared for. So if they haven't prepared, they're going to have to prepare to get through the escape room. So it doesn't leave anybody off the hook, where if you're just sitting in a lecture, whether you prepped or not, if you're not part of a discussion or you're being challenged, you don't have any accountability to that. It also, and therefore it improves intensity of preparation. But research has also shown, which I thought was really cool, is that it improves self-confidence in both lab and clinical practice as well. So not just didactic. Yeah, that's all I have for you. I hope I didn't confuse you more by showing you the template and going through, but if you have any questions, feel free to let me and Amanda know. Because of the sake of time, we can't build a whole escape room for you, but hopefully you can just kind of play with the template a little bit. I assure you, once you've built a mini escape room, you'll feel more confident building your next one. Thank you, everybody.
I'm still trying to build my second question. Thank you. I want to learn it because I think, like you said, once you get it down, it's a great way to keep it going. But yes, thank goodness this is recorded so you can slow down what she's doing, because it is hard to learn while, for something so new like this. And
Amanda, I want to also encourage you and everyone else. So when I built my first escape room, I was watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out just Google Forms, like saying I wasn't familiar with Google Forms, watching YouTube videos, pressing pause, trying to figure it out. It took me quite a while to build the first one. I would say like more than a day, because I had to figure out the kinks. But now that I have my first one, I can go in and change it up a little bit more easily. So I don't want it to discourage you from using it, but just know there is a learning curve, but the reward is at the end of that.
And they're easy to, can you speak about grading? The grading time is quick when you don't do a free response, correct?
Yeah, the grading time is really quick. I didn't add any points to mine, but you can add points, but it does tell you, let me just show you really quick while I still have your attention for a little bit. When you're in your edit, okay, this is when you're building it. And this is a link that you don't share with the students. You don't share this link. Okay, you're going to share the form response link with the students. When you go here, you can go to your responses and see how many responses. So for instance, when I did my GU, me see, actually. When I went to my GU one, I can see which or how many people actually responded. I don't have it up here, fortunately. But yes, you can see how many people responded. Let me see if I can pull one up to my screen really quick. I want to see. Okay, let me. Is everyone able to see this? It says this, the escape room template. If you go to responses, it's 0. You can also link it to your Excel or the Google form of Excel, which is Sheets, and it'll download the answers, and then you can go back to your questions.
But Karen has a question.
Yes, Karen.
I always have a question.
Good, we like questions.
It seems like it's a lot like the VLE situations where there's a case and there's people have to come up with the answers. It's just a lot more complicated, of course, but it seems like the time consuming part of building when there's already things that are being used similarly, I wonder what how the advantage is.
Yeah, and that's a fair question, Karen. So I'm always, if there's something already there, why start over? But what I found is that I wanted to test the knowledge of something that was particular to my class and my lecture. And then, VLE doesn't always have that. They may have something that's kind of like that, but they didn't have what I needed. And so I used this for test prep. But I also wanted to test my students' knowledge of what they learned, in their pre-work. And so again, we don't have the software for that always at our fingertips. This is not the easiest way to build an escape room, but for, let's say, in terms of accessibility and changeability, I really like Google Forms. There's other software that you can buy, but then, then that's added cost. So I like this because I'm in charge of this. I can even use an escape room to actually count as one of my quizzes, and I can give it the exact points that I want Canvas to allot for the quiz. So I have more flexibility with using the Google Forms.
You know what? I agree with you, Bridget, because sometimes we have something that we really want to deliver and we really want them to learn. And so that this will allow that. It'll allow you to ask the most important questions that you really want them to learn about. So I like that, but it's individualized like that. I really like that.
Yeah, there's some if Google Forms is not your thing, because maybe you're like, this is really confusing, you can actually even build an escape room in PowerPoint, and there are YouTube videos that can help you do that as well, because just like anything with Google and Microsoft software, there are ways to link and go back into a different slide and link again and go back into a different slide. But what I like about this is that the student will never get, with the PowerPoint, they see the template unless they're in presentation view. But with Google Forms, they're only going to get the form response view if you don't accidentally give them your link. So I hope this just tickled your brain a little bit, maybe to go and motivate you to look for other things. If you just type in gamification in nursing education or higher learning, there's so much out there. I mean, there's people that are selling their products, people that will design them for you, but I wanted to give us back a little bit of that power, being educators, and give us an opportunity to build or structure something for our own use.
Could I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I've been doing gamification designing through proprietary software. And I would say probably the most important thing before doing anything like this is to get a stack of sticky notes and create your roadmap with sticky notes. Either put it on the wall and move things around where the questions are, the answers are, your dining room table. You know, your virtual room will be limited by the size of your table, you know? But to create the flow first, and then it's a whole lot easier to render it.
Yeah, Catherine, you make a good point. And this is kind of similar to what I had to do. My learning curve was very steep. And so I had, you know, my sticky notes and a notepad trying to figure out where I was going with each thing.
Thank you. If you can look at the chat, there's there's a YouTube video on how to do this as well. And then thank you, Catherine, for this online article, How to Build an Escape Room in 7 Steps. That's great. Do we have any other comments? Thank you. Thank you for saying it took you a whole day to build your first one, because I think that would be me too.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you're going to prep for the night before. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, the second time though, once you've built your first one, the second time you definitely can build it like the day before your lecture or your time with the students. So it gets a little bit easier over time.
Yeah.
So I see one question in the chat, and I don't know if you addressed it. Megan asked about giving badges. Any creative ways to give badges?
Yeah, well, I really like digital badges. I've been doing a little bit of research on digital badges. I haven't figured out how to incorporate that into Canvas yet, but I am looking to see if there's any software that will speak to Canvas, because I like, you know, after they finish a module, I wish they can see a badge. I did have I took a class in the school business, and they made me do a Google class. Google has all kinds of free education. And after I finished each module, I got a badge. It was different from the other badge. It leveled me up, and it was kind of fun just to see that accumulation. So I don't know if there's some way we can do that, you know, in class, maybe with something physical. Yeah, you know, I talk to my kids. I have kids in all age ranges, and the ones that are in college and high school, I think they had a little bit more cutting edge education than I did when I was in high school. But everything was very digital and gamified for them, and a lot of group work and, you know, project-based things. And so just trying to wrap my head around how to deliver that in nursing, because like Amanda, sometimes I just think I'm doing a great job at delivering, you know, even a 20-minute lecture. But if they're only walking away with 5 or 20% of that information, then, you know, they're not going to do well on the exam. So just, again, I hope this is just tickling your brain, stretching you to think a little bit beyond the PowerPoint slide or the Google slide.
Good. We have one more question. Myra asked, where do you find or what link for free Google education? Does anybody happen to have a resource for that?
I don't. If you could Google free classes, they have Google free certification courses. If you Google that, no experience necessary. There's all different types of things that you can learn. I was taking it for a digital marketing and e-commerce, something not related to nursing, but because I took it, it helped me see the user perspective. And so I'm trying to do a little bit more of, you know, as an educator, thinking about, well, what's the student going to see and what's the student experience? And so hopefully you got a little bit of that, trying to go through that adult learning escape room.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bridget. I definitely am tickled. So I'm going to try and create a mini one just to get started on it. So to master that. Any other questions before we let you guys go? And thank you again for your attention. And we'll stay on for a minute if there's no questions, but thank you, everyone. Ruth, do you have any closing comments?
No, except thank you, you guys. You know, this is, it's little by little, you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna try a very short one. You know, don't do the big expansive one, do a short one, do a Google form. You know, that actually, to me, would be the first step. I use Google Forms for my students in the classes just to find out a little bit about them. They're not anonymous way to find out about your students that, you know, so I think Google Forms might be a first step for some people before you venture into the escape room that you can't get out of.
Yes, definitely. All right, everyone,
And
thank you so much. Yes,
I
yes.
was gonna say, I really enjoy doing this. So if there's somebody that is like, hey, I really want to, you know, figure this out, and you have something kind of, I think it was Catherine that said, you know, you have your sticky notes and you have your path ready, I can kind of help you go through that. So just send me an email. I'm happy to kind of guide you in that process.
You're available for hire, huh? For
Yeah.
free.
Not for hire.
I know.
All right.
You're a
Well,
great resource.
thank you for
so much.
listening.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great semester. God bless.
Oh, Jasmine's gonna send, I think, a link or an email later. Is that right, Jasmine? So that you can collect your.
So there,
Yes, that's
correct. Yeah, and there was a link in the chat for your evaluation. If you want to get the CEUs, and I think she'll actually send one with the presentation. You know, again, people that weren't physically here real time can actually do the 2 hours of looking themselves and then do all this. So Jasmine will send that as a packet. So, and this, as a reminder, our adjunct faculty meeting is always the Tuesday evening prior to the start of every semester. So the next
Thank
one
you.
will be coming at the end of August.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, mark your calendars now for August 29th.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Great to see
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you for everything you do. God bless.